Hello everyone, welcome to this video. So guys, in this video we'll be discussing about large language model, which is also known as LLMs. So as of now, we have seen so many things, like we saw the entire generative AI pipeline, we saw the text pre-processing as well as the data representation. And I also did one practical. I just implemented one text classification with the help of machine learning model. But I already told you, see, it was just experiment, but going forward, actually, we have to use something called large language model, because here we are learning generative AI. And inside generative AI, the core component is the large language model. Now, let's try to understand what exactly the large language model is and what is the core architecture behind this large language model. So guys, as you can see, a large language model is a trained deep learning model that understand and generate text in a human-like fashion. Okay. LLMs are good at understanding and generating the human language. As I already told you, inside generative AI, we're having large language model. We also call it as a generative model. And what is the use of generative model? Generative model can generate a new data. Okay, so that is why here I have mentioned a large language model is a trained deep learning models that understand and generate text like a human fashion. That means whatever model you used previously, let's say whatever traditional model you used, let's say machine learning model, it can be any kinds of traditional deep learning model. Those are the model can't generate the text like a human fashion. Okay, it can only do the prediction, because I told you the difference between descriptive model as well as the generative model. But here, this large language model can generate a text, okay, and it would be human fashion. That means the way human generate any kinds of text. Let's say currently I'm speaking, right? I'm giving you the understanding. So the same concept can be applied in the large language model also. So large language model can also mimic the human behavior. Okay, this is the main idea here. And LLMs are good at understanding and generating the human language, as I already told you. And how this LLM works? See, the core working mechanism inside LLM, it will generate the next word. So here I've given an example. Let's say the garden was full of the beautiful. Now see, this particular sentence you are giving to the large language model. Okay, and large language model is able to generate flowers. That means it is trying to generate, okay, next word always. Okay, it is trying to generate next word. That is the main core idea inside large language model. That means whatever, let's say, prompt we are giving, okay, whatever prompt we are giving, whatever, let's say, text it is generating, it will try to generate the next word always. Okay, this is the main logic behind the large language model. So here are some more example. You can see it's raining cats, and so this is my, let's say, input to the large language model. Large language model will try to actually generate this particular word called dogs. Okay, now there is another one. I have 2 apples and I ate one. I'm left with. So this is the input you are passing to the large language model. So PAL means nothing but it's a large language model, and it is able to predict 1. Okay, that means it is able to generate the next word of the prompt you have given. Okay, this is the main working mechanism of a large language model. Apart from that, there are some more advanced technique it usually used. I will also explain. So I'll also explain like how ChatGPT was trained and how it is working and all. Okay, I think this concept would be more clear. As of now, this is the high level understanding I'm giving you how this model is working. Okay, let's say whenever it is generating something new data, how it is working. This is the main idea here. Now let's try to understand why we call it as a large language model. Because you can see, because of the size and complexity of the neural network, as well as the size of the dataset that it was trained on. That means if you see any kinds of large language model, okay, over the internet, any kinds of LLM model, you will see it is using very big and complex neural network. Okay, very big and complex neural network. Even it is trained with massive amount of data. Okay, and the model actually we are using, it is called actually pre-trained model. That means this model is already trained with massive amount of data. Okay, it is called pre-trained model, and we call it as a transfer learning. I think you have already learned transfer learning in your previous days, right? In deep learning, computer vision, machine learning. So what is transfer learning? Transfer learning means we are using an existing model. Okay, that model is already trained with some kinds of data set. Okay, this is called actually transfer learning. So here, so this transfer learning makes this generative AI so powerful, because they are training these kinds of complex neural network with the massive amount of data set. So as you can see, researchers started to make this model large and trained on huge data sets, that they started showing impressive results, like understanding the complex natural language and generating language more eloquently than ever. Okay, this is the main idea. That's why we call it as a large language model. Now you can see the large language model core architecture. Now many people has this kinds of question. What is the architecture actually LLM is using? Okay, see, this is the core architecture all kinds of LLM are using. A large language models are based on the transformer, a type of neural network architecture invented by Google. Those who have already learned about natural language processing, right? Those who have already learned about attention mechanism, transformer. See, you are already familiar with this architecture. Yes or no, right? So you are already familiar with this architecture, and this architecture is known as transformer architecture. Okay, and it is invented by Google. Okay, and this was the main breakthrough in the field of natural language processing, even in the field of generative AI, because based on this particular architecture, all kinds of large language model you can see over the market. Okay, everything has been developed. Fine. So this is the main architecture here. So it is having two kinds of part. One is the encoder part, and other is like decoder part. And inside that you are having something called multi-head attention. Okay, no need to worry. I will explain this particular concept. I will create a dedicated video for this. How this transformer architecture is working inside our transformer architecture, what are the component it is having. Okay, everything I'll try to clarify. Okay, for this I'll keep a dedicated video. Okay, so that you can understand this transformer in depth. Fine. As of now, just try to consider this is the core architecture behind all kinds of large language model. Okay, and it is invented by Google, and this is known as transformer architecture, and it is having two layer called your encoder layer, and this like decoder layer. So this one left side, this is called encoder layer, and right side, this is called decoder layer. Okay, inside that you can see different component like input encoding, multi-head attention, add normalization, feed forward. Okay, that's how you are having different component inside that. I hope it is clear. Fine. Now on top of this architecture, what they did actually, they added some more layer, they added some more functionality, and they brought this kinds of large language model, different large language model. Now let's try to see some large language model, but before that, first of all, let me tell you what makes large language model so powerful. Because I already told you, in case of LLM, one model can be used for whole variety of tasks. Like you can perform text generation, chatbot, summarization, translation, code generation, and so on. With one model, you can perform all kinds of tasks. But whenever we used to use our traditional NLP model, that means only the language model, we can only perform one specific task. Let's say you want to do language translation. For this, you have to only use language translation model, and that model can't do the code generation. Okay, but here in the large language model, you can do whole variety of tasks. I think you saw the chat GPT. Let me show you one example. So guys, this is our chat GPT. Now inside that, I can give any kinds of input. Let's say I'll give me the German translation of this text. Now here you can pass the text. Let's say, how are you? Fine. Now see, if I give this prompt, so it will give me the translation in German of this text. Okay, now see, this is the translation in German. Now I can also do the sentiment analysis. So here I can write, give me the, let's say, sentiment, okay, of this text. See, it's a neutral sentiment. Now you can also perform something called language detection. So I'll give me the language, or I can write detect the language. Okay, detect the language of this text. Now see, it should give me English. Fine. So that's how with the help of one model you can do variety of tasks. You can also generate the code. So I'll give me a Python code for adding two numbers. See, it can also generate the codes. So this is how actually large language model works. Okay, and that makes LLM so powerful. Now let's try to see some of the large language models are available over the internet. See, I've just listed down some of them, but you will see thousands of models are available. I will also tell you where you will get all the model list and all. Okay, so as of now, just try to see, guys. We are having different large language model like Gemini. So I think you know Gemini, right? Gemini was developed by Google. Even we are having also one application of the Gemini. Let me show you. So in Google, if you search for gemini.google.com, so you'll see this kinds of application, and this is the same kinds of application like your chat GPT. Okay, here also you can give the prompt, and here also you can get the response. Let's say the previous prompt I have given here, I can also pass it here. Okay, and in the backend they're using something called Gemini model. Okay, Gemini large language model. Then we're having something called GPT. Okay, GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Okay, the model was developed by OpenAI. That means the chat GPT you are using, it is using something called GPT based model. Okay, we are having GPT 3, 4. Okay, these are the model we are having. Even recently actually GPT published one amazing model, I think GPT 4o model. Okay, with that you can also generate videos, you can also generate like so many things. Okay, if you just search on Google, you will see different version of the GPT, even there application and all, like okay, everything you can see there. Then we're having something called XLM, that means cross lingual language model. Okay, so this is one of the large language model, it is also available. Now we're having something called Llama. Okay, and it was developed by Meta AI. So Llama is having different variant like Llama 2, Llama 3. Okay, recently Llama 3 was published, 3.1 is published, I think. And this model is amazing. It can also, let's say, generate text like a human. Even going forward, we'll be also learning how we can use Llama 2, 3 model, okay, in our application. With the help of that, we'll be building different application. Now you can see there is another model called Megatron. So Megatron is a large language model and is like very powerful transformer model, okay, developed by NVIDIA research team. I think you know NVIDIA. So we are using NVIDIA GPUs in our system, right? So NVIDIA team has developed this particular Megatron model, and this is one of the large language model. Now we're having something called M2M 100. So this is called actually multilingual encoder and decoder sequence to sequence model. Okay, and it was developed by Facebook. So these are the models actually we are having. Apart from that, I told you now we are having thousands of models. Let me show you. So this is the GitHub, guys. So the GitHub name is OpenLLMs. Okay, now what this guy did, actually this guy actually listed all the large language models are available over the internet. Okay, now see, he has created one beautiful GitHub repository, and in the readme file he listed down all the large language model as well as their checkpoints. Let's say you want to download this model, you can also download this model from this particular link. If you want to read the papers and blog of this particular model, he has also given the link. Apart from that, the parameter size, context length, and as well as the license. So every information you will get of any kinds of large language model. Now see, T5 is one of the large language model, then RWKV4, okay, then GPT Neo X, then YAML, OEL2, Bloom, Chat, GLM. Okay, now see, different large language model you are having. See, okay, Falcon is also there, then Llama 2 I already told you, then Mistral is also there. Okay, see, different large language model, and it is having so many large language model, guys, so many large language model. If you want to export, open this particular link, just write Open LLMs inside Google, you will be able to see these kinds of GitHub. Okay, and you can also keep this link with you, so that if you need any model later on, if you want to develop any kinds of projects with the help of any kinds of large language model, you can use this repository later on, so that you can see the paper blog link. Okay, it will help you to understand this particular model. So guys, as I already told you, all the large language model using one core architecture, which is nothing but transformer architecture. And inside transformer architecture, I showed you there are two kinds of layer called encoding layer and decoder layer. Okay, now see, here is the transformer architecture, let's say, and it is having two kinds of part like encoder and decoder. Now I think I showed you different large language model, like thousands of large language model. Now see, all the models are not using both layer, that means encoder and decoder layer. Some of the models are using encoder layer, some of the models are using decoder layer. Okay, and some of the models are using both layer, that means encoder and decoder both. Now here I've listed down some of the models, so this will give you the idea of what kinds of models are using encoder layer only, what kinds of models are using decoder layer only, and what kinds of models are using both layer. Okay, you can see encoder based architecture, these are the encoder based architecture like DistilBart, BART, Robata, okay, XLM, then Albart, Electra, okay, then DBARTA. So these are the model based on the encoder layer only. Okay, now you can see the decoder layer model. So GPT, GPT-2, GPT-3, okay, whatever GPT series you are having, it is using something called decoder layer only. Okay, decoder architecture only. Fine. Then both actually layer, that means encoder and decoder both layer. So we are having something called T5 BART. Then we are having something called see, this is BART actually, B-A-R-T, not B-E-R-T. Okay, this is another model. Now M2M 100 and Big BART. So these are the models are using encoder and decoder. See, it's not possible to list down all the models here, that's why I just listed down some of them, but there are so many models that are using like both architecture. There are so many models that are using only encoder architecture, there are so many models that are using decoder architecture. Okay, and this is called actually transformer T. Okay, this is called actually transformer T. So so by referring this particular T, you can easily understand what kinds of models are using which kinds of architecture. Okay, this is the main idea here. Now let's try to see some OpenAI based large language model, because going forward we'll be using something called OpenAI platform. Okay, we'll be generating OpenAI key and we'll be implementing different projects. Now see, inside OpenAI we're having different models like GPT-4, then GPT 3.5, GPT based, DALL-E, Whisper, embeddings model, even moderation model, GPT-3 legacy model. So these are the models are available in the OpenAI platform. Apart from that, I think recently they have released more model because it's a continuous research field. It's not like that it will be like fixed research. Every day they are bringing new technology in their platform. Okay, so if you want to learn all of them, you have to keep updated with their technology always. For this, what you can do, you can refer their website. Okay, you can refer their website and try to see what are the models they're bringing. Okay, so like that actually you will be learning a lot. It's not like that you only need to rely on your mentor. Okay, as a mentor I can give you the entire path how you can get started with. I will teach you how you can use them, but as a learner what you have to do, you have to explore by yourself. Unless and until you are not exploring by yourself, it would be very much difficult for you, okay, to learn any kinds of topic. So that should be my suggestion. Please try to explore from your end. After this actually video, what you can do, you can search OpenAI, you can search different open source website, and you can see what are the models are came actually recently. Okay, that's how actually you can learn. And you can also create a GitHub repository like that, and you can list down all the models, okay, you will be exporting, okay, in future. That is the idea. Now let's try to see some other open source large language model. See, there are two kinds of large language models are available. One is like commercial model. Commercial model means this is the commercial model, like OpenAI based model. So if you want to use these are the model, you have to pay. Okay, you have to pay. You have to take the subscription. Okay, but if you're not interested in paying, what you can do, you can use open source large language model. So these are the models are available in the Hugging Face platform. So if you're using these are the model, you don't need to pay. Okay, freely you can access, but there you will get some difficulty because these are the model you have to download manually in your system. You have to set up everything. Okay, let's say you want to fine tune this Mistral. What you have to do, you have to download the Mistral model in your system. Now just try to see what is the size of the Mistral model. Okay, more than 30 to 40 GB. Okay, so you should have good actually resources in your system. Let's say you should have good CPU, good GPU, good memory. Otherwise you can ever train this particular model. But if you're using commercial model, okay, let's say you are using OpenAI model. Okay, that time what you can do, you can use their platform like OpenAI platform to fine tune these are the model. Okay, you don't need to download these are the model in your system. So going forward, I will teach you how you can use a commercial model as well as the open source model both. Then you can decide which one you will be using. Okay, it's up to you. Now these are some open source large language model like Mistral, Llama, Gemini, Falcon, okay, Cloudy, then MPT 30B and StableM. Okay, these are the models actually we are having as an open source model. Apart from that, there are so many model I will tell you. There is a platform called Hugging Face. Inside Hugging Face, you will see all kinds of large language models are available there. Fine. What can LLM be used for? I already told you, you can use large language model for the text classification, for the text generation, for text summarization, conversation like chatbot, question answering, speech recognition, speech identification, spelling correction, and so on. That means whatever task you can see in the field of natural language processing, okay, all kinds of tasks you can perform with the help of large language model. Only one model. I think I showed you one example of the ChatGPT. Now there is another concept you will be getting inside large language model, which is nothing but prompt engineering and prompt designing. Now you can ask me what is prompt engineering and prompt designing. So you can see all the text that we feed into an LLM as an input, it is called actually prompt. And this whole art is known as prompt designing or prompt engineering, which is about figuring out how to write and format prompt text to get LLMs to do what you want to do. Okay, that means whatever input you will be passing inside large language model, okay, this is called actually prompt. And the way actually you will be giving the prompt, the way actually you will be preparing the prompt, this is called prompt designing or prompt engineering. Okay, now let's say here two example I have kept. It's raining cats and okay, let's say this is your prompt. You are giving this particular input to the large language model, and your large language model will try to predict dog. I think I showed you. Okay, that text word generation. Okay, next word generation. Then I have another example. I have two apples and I ate one. I left with this is the input. Now your model will try to generate one. Okay, now apart from that, we are having some types of prompt like few shot prompt, zero shot prompt. Okay, these are the types of prompts are available. Let me show you. So this is called actually zero shot learning, zero shot prompting. That means here you are only giving the, you can see the approach using a single command to get an LLM to take on a behavior. It is called actually zero shot learning. That means you are only giving a input, and your large language model will give you the output. Let's say this is your prompt, write me a poem about Ada Lovelace in the style of Shakespeare. Okay, this is the input. Now there is another one, explain the quantum physics to me like I am 5 years old. Now you are giving this prompt to the large language model, and large language model is generating the response for you, the answer for you. Okay, this is called actually zero shot learning. Okay, zero shot learning. Now there is another learning called few shot learning. In few shot learning, in addition to just providing an instruction, it can be helpful to show the model what you want by adding the example. It is called actually few shot learning. So in few shot learning, what you will do, you will give some example. Okay, the prompt actually you are giving, let's say here you are giving a prompt, convert the text from English to French. So with this prompt you will pass some example like English to French example. Let me show you. So let's say this is the few shot from example. Let's say this is the prompt you are giving, convert the text from English to French. Now you are giving English as well as the French, English as well as the French. Okay, that means you are passing some example, okay, instruction as well as the example, and your model will try to give you the response. Okay, after that means you are teaching your model how you're expecting the results. Okay, this is how actually you can pass the few shot learning or few shot prompting inside large language model. Okay, so going forward we'll be also learning this thing, how we can add our system prompt, how we can add the user prompt. Okay, how we can give few shot actually prompting, how we can give, let's say, zero shot prompting. We'll be learning whenever we'll be using large language model. And always try to remember, if you want to get a good response from the large language model, you have to go with the prompt engineering and prompt designing. This is the main idea here. So yes guys, this is all about our large language model, okay, which is LLMs. So I hope you got the clear cut understanding about large language model, what exactly large language model is and what is the core architecture it is using in the backend. So in the next video, I'll try to explain that core architecture, the transformer architecture, how transformer architecture works, and what are the components are available inside transformer architecture. With that guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.